Hello friends, welcome back to Too Many Minis. My name's Ossie. We need a bit of cheer and levity and light stuff right now, so I thought I would do a tier list, a daft tier list, and this is a tier list ranking the plastic infantry kits that we've had back from 2001 up until now. It's a good moment to do it. The edition that we've had for the last 6 years, which had no plastic troop kits, is coming to an end, and we've got a new edition starting with the Battle of Edras soon, matter of weeks, which is giving us our first plastic troops in over a decade. So yeah, pretty simple. It's going to be completely subjective. My taste in these kits, it's not about how good they are in game, it's just about what are they like as miniatures that you want to have and paint and keep and give space in your house too. Let's check them out. Okay, we're going to do this roughly in order of release. Infantry kits, I'm including the Fellowship of the Ring, I'm including Thorin's Company. I'm not including the Eagles or Ents or Fell Beasts. Maybe another day we'll do a monster list. So we're going to start with way back in 2001, we had the Last Alliance kit. And while I think it's a really good kit, it's also absolutely dated. It's the Numenorians are tiny. The High Elves are kind of too samey in pose. They don't work. You can't have shields. It's going into C tier. It's not terrible, but it absolutely needs replacing. That's kind of what C tier is for. It's also the only kit we have which is split between two factions, which is a PIA. You've got people who just want to play Rivendell, people who just want to play Numenor. It doesn't work for them. They've got spares. It doesn't work for the options. It's half bows. We don't take the bows. All that stuff. It's probably the most needed plastic kit, and everyone's thought that for a long time. But I still don't think it's D tier because it was a good kit to start with, and it wasn't designed for the modern match play game that we have now. It was designed back for the first edition of the game, so I get that. C tier. The next one up is if ever you needed proof that the original game wasn't an army versus army game, the core box, Fellowship of the Ring box, came with Moria Goblins as the other side. Moria Goblins never fight against the Last Alliance, but that's what you got in the box. They were the kind of, yeah, was there some logic to it? Yes, but it was weird. I'm putting them in A tier. I think they are really strong sculpts, and they haven't aged badly at all. I would love to have new poses because people have so many of them in an army that less duplication would be better. You can have the metal ones, but I think they stand up. The metal, they're interesting in that they had metal releases of all of the troops at the same time when they already had a plastic kit out. I think they're the only force to get that. Like, they had metal and plastic alternatives all the way through, rather than having a plastic kit replacing metal options and stuff. Or like with the High Elves, you didn't have spears in the box, so you got metal spears. The Goblins always had both. Yeah, they're a bit blurry in places, and you have to decide for yourself: is this fabric, is this metal, whatever. It's relatively minimal. They're tiny models, remember, and they look just like they do in the film. I think that kit really stands up, so I'm putting them in A tier. With the second movie, we got a box which had, I think, 4 plastic kits in it. It was an awesome box. The Two Towers box, probably the high point of the game. The Battle Games in Middle-earth magazine came out. The films were huge. It feels like that was the biggest jumping on point ever in the history of the game. And the Uruk-hai Warriors kit is pretty solid. I think it could do with replacing now. They're incredibly boring to paint, in my opinion. I've painted some this year, but they're fine. They really do the job. They look good en masse, if not individually. I think I'm going to put them in B tier. The Uruk siege troops are a bit less good. They're a weird kit. Like, of all the kits, they're the only one where you're like, how many of these would you buy? Like, even in the War of the Ring era, where it was all about buying tons of plastic kits and having tons of them, they've always been quite a niche plastic kit. The most niche plastic kit we have, I think. They are a mixed bag. I think the Berserkers are quite good with the flames. I think the ladders and the bombs are good. but the guys carrying the bombs are a bit derpy and got some real imprecise bits of molding on them. I'm going to put them into C tier. I wouldn't replace them because we don't need them much, but they were an important part of the kind of narrative play that went along with the game then. So, yeah, there's, they're okay, but nobody loves this kit, right? Let me know if you do. Right, Warriors of Rohan kit that faced off against them in the box. I think it's quite a mixed bag. There's a couple of poses in there that I love. The guy with the spear angled down, I think is excellent. The guy throwing an axe like that is great. But there, have you see the new kits? That's a fantastic Rohan kit, and this is a good Rohan kit. I'm going to put them into B tier with their opposing Urukai. I think they absolutely did the job. They've lasted for 20 years just fine, but I'm really glad to see them replaced. The Riders of Rohan, they're a bit I'm a bit love hate about them because I think they look great. You've got like an army of Riders of Rohan going across the board. They look fantastic and dynamic, but would I swap that for them looking a bit less dynamic and maybe having more ankles on the ground, more heels, more hooves that don't snap off so easily? Maybe. I mean, it must be the most broken kit in MESBG history. People just break them. If you buy them on eBay, like you just get little bases with one little hoof stuck in the base and then a loose rider. The poses are a mixed bag. I think the archers are brilliant. Guy with the spear off to the side, of the sword off to the side, are very kind of like, here's my weapon. So they are dated, but I think they were pretty great for the time they came out. And while I'm really looking forward to see a replacement, I'm assuming we're getting a replacement with the new War of the Rohirrim movie, like we have got the Foot Warriors of Rohan. I think I'd still be inclined to put them in A tier. They've absolutely done the job for 20 years. More than acquitted themselves with the odd ankle break. Minas Tirith Warriors. I love this kit. It's not perfect. It's definitely dated, and there are bits of it where there's like infill bits of plastic that shouldn't be there, and you've got to decide what to do with them. I guess I'll just paint it black. They have some clunky poses. They have the separate spear arms, and they never go on that well. The archers look great, and nobody ever uses them. And the swordmen are mixed, right? I mean, a lot of people don't like the guy who's like the fighting anteater. But they come at me, bro, guy. But I like them. They're somewhere between A and B. I think I'm putting them in A. I would love a replacement kit for them. I would love that. As much as I like them, I like replace them. So maybe I'm stretching the definition of A there. Yeah, you know what? Maybe we move them down to B tier, and the Riders of Rohan down to B tier. We're gonna put them. Are we gonna do it within the? Yeah, let's leave it like that. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that for now. The original Mordor Orc plastics. We had the fantastic metal orcs that came out with the first movie. Then with the third movie, we got the plastic kit. I've painted millions of these. I like them, but some of them are terrible. So the guys holding the spears kind of like that, they are bad. The one with no helmet is really bad. The guy with the weird shield that seems to be made of like cream eggs in a sack, he's weird. They're mixed, but I love them, and I love the energy they've got. They've got that real like mean rabble kind of orky vibe. The guy with the curved sword is weird. It feels like more of a Ralph Bakshi orc, but I've got a lot of love for them. I don't think they can get into A tier because they are sort of bad, some of them, but they've also got a lot of flavor, and I think I'm going to put them high B. No, I can't remember the exact timing on all the rest of the releases, but or at least this bunch after the movies. But I think the first ones we had were the Haradrim, plastic Haradrim, shortly after Return of the King came out, and we got the Mumak and all that stuff. We got the Battle of Pelennor Fields expansion. Anyway, I think the Haradrim kit is really strong. it would be way down in the bottom of my list of kits to replace. Lovely models, especially the guy kind of front and center with the forked spear. He's just got so much character. I love the little hankies across the face. I can't remember the right word. They're lovely. They still look great to this day. Fiddly models that stand up. Great cloaks. It's going in A tier. It's going in A tier. Warg Riders kit. And we had lovely metal Warg Riders with the Two Towers movie. There's 3 of them. 2 of them have bows. So they don't work very well in game. But they look great. They're big and chunky and they've got a lot of character. The riders have character. The wargs are ferocious looking. And I don't particularly like the warg design from the movie. It's my least favorite bit of character design, I think, from the original trilogy. The kind of hyena thing. The CGI often doesn't work on them, and they're too sort of smooth and plasticine looking. But even then, these are bad. Like it's a bad kit. The bowmen riding on the wargs are quite good. The spear guys are okay. The sword guys look bad. I don't rate them. I have to use them quite a lot in game, and I don't like that. I think they're going into D tier. I hate them. And they came out with the Scouring of the Shire supplement, which is a real bummer because you got all these metal Shire characters and metal hobbits, and then you got this plastic warg kit, which felt only tangentially related to the expansion. And I so wanted plastic hobbits, and I still want plastic hobbits. Like hobbits, you need millions of them, and they'd be so cool. And you could cut them up and convert them so much easier. I've cut up so many metal hobbits, and it's a pain. I mean, it's like they did them in order to get wild wargs, and the riders were an afterthought or something. But yeah, they stink. But not as much as wild wargs. They are terrible. Ugh, awful models. D tier. Get out of town. No, do not want. They're so flat. They really remind me of like the early Wolf Rider wolves from Warhammer Fantasy Battles, and that was like 10 years before these came out. Bad. The Corsair kit came out somewhere around here, and we had a discussion about this on our London WhatsApp, and there's mixed feelings on the Corsairs. Some people are quite keen on them. I think the guy with the bill hook's really good. They're okay, but they're bad. The poses are bad. The sculpts are good. The sculpts are okay. They're definitely a bit blurry. Things merge into one another. The fabric's a bit sort of overly crumpled and, has all these ripples. A lot of the poses are pretty dorky, but I think they're okay. They're not D tier, not for me. They're going in C tier. I don't think there's much clamour for replacing them because it's Corsairs. I don't think they're that big of a deal to most people, but what do you think? Let me know. The Plastic Fellowship were introduced with the Mines of Moria starter set, which came out around the time of the One rulebook. If I remember that correctly. They came with a nice bit of Balin's Tomb scenery, which has been in MTO recently. I think maybe you can buy it again regular. I never liked them because we'd had all these great metal fellowships. We'd had the original Brian Nelson Fellowship, which is incredible face sculpts. We had Breaking the Fellowship. We had the Breaking the Fellowship set, which is excellent. I think that's Juan Diaz. Tons more Fellowship sculpts across other sets. So you could make a great Fellowship. You could make your perfect Fellowship from all these different models. And for me, not many of these plastic ones would get into that. The Frodo's got a good pose, but it's a lumpy, soapy looking sculpt. Legolas is just bad. Why is he looking forward when he's shooting left? The Aragorn has a cool action pose, as does the Boromir. The Gandalf is fine, but my god, have we got better Gandalfs. Sam is cool with the frying pan. That's a cool Sam. Merry and Pippin, meh. We've had better ones. And the Gimli is bad. Bad Gimli. Like bad action figure, badly posed Gimli. I'm putting these in C tier. think they're, you know, a nice cheap fellowship to put in boxes and stuff, but there's not that much to be said for them. Then with the War of the Ring mass battle rules, we've got a slew of plastic kits replacing existing metals. With like, you're going to need to buy a lot of troops, so we can't expect you to buy a ton of the same poses of 3 Moran and Orcs with spears, so we're going to use some plastic kits. One of them is the Isengard Scouts, Uruk-hai Scouts kit. It's very closely based on the metals, but the metals are nicer in all ways, in my opinion. They're really crisp. They have a lot of character, and these ones are fine, the plastics, but they don't have that same like crispness where, you know, this bit of clothing ends, this leg starts here, that kind of thing. You're having to decide some of that for yourself. I think it'd be unfair to put them in C tier. I want to put them in B tier. They're fine, but I don't think they're as good as the sets that came before them in the B tier. They're not as good as the Uruk-hai Warriors, really. They're not any better, and they came up many years later. The Moran and Orc kit, like, I've got so many of these. I bought a lot of the Osgiliath box, and yeah, I've got a lot of these. I don't like painting them at all. At best, they look okay painted up, I think. With all that armor, though, they're boring. You don't see much of their faces, so they don't have that much character, except for the one where you do see the face. He has like a giant moon face, and he looks daft. He looks like Mickey Dolenz from the Monkees, but what if he was an orc? He's got no neck. I don't like these. I'm putting them in C, near the bottom. Would I like new Moran and Orcs? Maybe, yeah. I mean, that plastic goth mock we had recently was incredible. So I still don't think I'd enjoy painting them. I think it's a bit like the Uruk-hai Warriors. It's like not an enjoyable painting prospect for me. A lot of black armor with some silver highlights or whatever. Yeah, boring. Wood elves. Man, I was looking forward to wood elf plastics. These are bad. Like, a couple of the poses are okay, but to me, the poses are okay on a couple of them, but the sculpting is boring, indistinct. The guy smelling his armpit sucks. A lot of their faces just kind of blur into their hair and into the thing, and weapons are spindly. They're such a disappointment. They're going in D tier. Sorry, they're bad. I think are they the worst? They're really bad. They're maybe not as bad as the Wild Walks. Gathering Warriors are bad too, and I think they're not as bad. Like, they're not as bad, but the Howdy's Elves metals that we got with the 2 towers are so good, especially the banner guy. Like, they're so good, those models. The archers and the sword guys, they're so good. Yeah, they don't have spears and shields, but they're super good, and these just don't compare. They're sort of slight, they're kind of static, they're all upright apart from like one guy. The guy leaning back is cool, bottom left. The weapons are all spindly, and yeah, the bows just never look good to me. I'll put them in D tier or C tier. I think I'm going to put them in C tier. Disappointing, and I think that's a, you know, they've put the Howdy's Elves in the made to order like a million times because people love them and they buy them and they field them. Yeah, this plastic kit failed to do the job of replacing its metals. Easterling Warriors, I think they did their job of replacing the Metal Warriors. The Metal Warriors do look good, scale difference aside, but they're very few poses and they get really repetitive. There's a nice variety of poses in here. The archers look great. Shame nobody ever uses them, but they do look great. No, I think it's a good kit. I think I'm going to put them down the bottom of A tier. Really good, right? Nobody's clamoring for a replacement for these. Solid. Knights of Minas Tirith kit is, in the War of the Ring era, we got a lot of replacement cavalry kits, replacement plastic cavalry kits to replace metal rangers, and these are a huge improvement. I can't imagine anyone prefers the metal Minas Tirith Knights. I've used them for Citadel Guard, Mounted Citadel Guard conversions and that kind of thing. And they're okay for that, but their poses are lame with the little spear out of the side. These poses are fantastic. The little pennants on the spears look great. This kit totally stands up. I wouldn't see it replaced at all. I think it's excellent. It's going top of A tier for me. Excellent models. Total success. Same thing with the Serpent Riders, really. I can't imagine anyone preferring the metals. These are really good. The banner guy is so nice. They look fantastic when you get a bunch of them. People don't play them that much at the moment, but I think they look fantastic. They're also going in A tier. Swan Knights of Dol Amroth was such a in-demand kit. Like, I can't tell you, if you were on the One Ring or the Last Alliance forums back in the day, people absolutely hated the metal Swan Knight kits with the massive winged helmets, to the point where what was the guy's name? I've forgotten the guy's name, but there was an independent sculptor who did alternative heads for them. This is back way before 3D printing or anything. He did like he cast up little metal alternative helmets for the knights. They were expensive and impractical with their long lances in metal. These were very much wanted, and it's a fantastic kit. I mean, the banner is phenomenal. These 100% still hold up. These are the first ones going into S tier. Swan Knights kit is fantastic. I love them from the books. I mean, I know a lot of people are kind of movie based fans, and so they doesn't mean anything to them. But for me, like the fiefdoms in battle, but also the scene where Pippin watches them arriving to Minas Tirith. This is some of my absolute favourite bits of the book, and this Swan Knight kit absolutely lives up to that. Love it. 10 out of 10 kit. Similar for the Morgul Knights, except their metals were perfectly good. I think they were well liked. I wouldn't say they're any better than the plastics. They're a bit clunky and heavy, but the plastics absolutely do the job. Top-notch kit. I'm putting them in A tier with the other cavalry. No need to replace them. Lovely stuff. And, you know, I saw a fantastic army of them. Felix Newman's army of them on Saturday at the event here in London. And he'd done them really sort of shiny, but with really black recesses. They look so good as a force, you know what I mean? With the Witch King in there, and you know they look good. They're really great kit. You can paint them really ghosty. You can paint them really metal and knightly. Fantastic. No complaints. Galadrim cavalry. Some complaints. The horses look like they're being crushed under the weight of their riders. They look like little ponies carrying big men. They are bad. I hate them. So disappointing. And again, this was a unit that was wanted for so long. Oh, we need Elven Cavalry. We need Elven Cavalry. You know, there was no Elven Cavalry before this point. This isn't replacing a metal kit. There was nothing, right? It was on the forums and stuff. It was a huge thing. We want Elven Cavalry. We want Elven Cavalry. And when they came out, it's so disappointing. They suffer from all the same problems as the regular Galadrim Warriors kit, but on bad ponies. Bad. The faces, bad. Sorry. They are going into D tier, near the bottom. Eastern Cataphracts are great, right? Eastern Cataphracts are as good as the rest of this cavalry, that kind of War of the Ring era cavalry kits. They're really good. They go in A tier. The drummer guy's cool, right? And that kit is a lovely kit. It comes with spare bits, casualties. Lovely kit. That was a real high point for kits in that period. In fact, the casualties, I'm bumping them up a bit. Yeah, I'm bumping them up. Second in A tier. Rangers of Middle-earth. I was a huge fan of the Gondor Rangers kits that we got with the third movie. I think they're fantastic. The metal models with the hoods up. I love them. These I didn't love as much, but they're very all-purpose. They're very sort of generic. They're fine. There's like 100% B tier. They go somewhere in here with the general warriors that are decent. That's what they are. I always wanted to do a load of Blackroot Vale archers out of them, and I've never found a paint scheme I like for them. I wanted to do them in black, kind of ninja looking. I've never made it work. Maybe I'll have another go one day, but I run some with my Gondor so that I can have spear guys, and I just use some of them as Arnor guys. They're a bit generic, but they're fine, right? No rush to replace them. All good. Dwarf warriors. Nah, these are bad. Like the metal dwarf warriors that we got with the Shadow and Flame expansion, just beautiful little stocky models, wide around the waist, kind of tapering to the feet. Really great dwarves. These ones, they suffer from the period they came out. They're sort of indistinct. The beards kind of blend into their other stuff. You have to kind of black line everything if you want it to really stand out. Always been a big disappointment to me, this kit. Absolutely doesn't. Not one pose there can hang with the metal poses that we got before, but we only got 3 archers and 3 warriors, you know? I think. Yeah, 3 or 4. So it's a disappointment. I would love a new Khazad Doom dwarf kit one day. I'm going to put them into D tier. I think they're bad. They're not the worst. They are super disappointing, and they're in all ways worse than the metal kit. And I've never done an army of them because of that, basically. Just skipping ahead slightly to stay on topic. The Dwarf Rangers kit, I think, is excellent. There is some indistinct places where surfaces meet on them, and so I think they're a bit of work to paint, and all that fabric is always a bit of work to paint. But I think the poses are fantastic. The poses are fantastic, and the feeling they give me. Dwarves with hoods up is Tolkien dwarves to me, you know. And I think I have many beefs with the Hobbit movies, but one of them is that we never get the Hobbits all with the hoods up, looking really Tolkien-y to me. And these dwarf rangers, to me, these are the dwarfs that you'll meet out in the world. These are dwarves not in their holds, not in the mountains. This is dwarves out in the world for greedy reasons, probably, and they're going around, and they're getting accosted by wolves or brigands or whatever, and they're having to bust out the axes and hew some baddies or goodies. This is great dwarves, super Tolkien-y. I love them. They're going way up into the top of A tier. I don't think they can go S tier because I think they are dated. Like they suffer from the time they were made, unlike the Swan Knights, which still hold up. But they're fantastic when they were made. Warriors of the Dead of Dunharrow, is a nice plastic kit. The translucent ones they did last year or whenever, the kind of gimmick ones, they're quite fun, and if a bit brittle. These are fine. Are they as nice as the metals they did? No, but that was quite repetitive poses, and there's not much in it. Apart from a slight scale difference, they go together perfectly well. And they're spirit guys, so it doesn't matter. People spend no time painting them. They're one of the quickest forces to paint. So I don't think they need to be all that great. They're 100% going into B tier for me, somewhere in the middle. Could they be better? Yeah. Do they need to be better? No. Have I got too many of them? Yes. And that was the last time we got Lord of the Rings plastic kits. That War of the Ring era went into the sort of fallow period of the game. And then we had the Hobbit movies, which was extremely exciting, but for one reason or other, they clearly weren't. They didn't translate, even though people loved them and they were relatively successful, it didn't translate into new players for the game in the way that the Lord of the Rings movies had. That seems like that's inarguable. That's what happened. So we had this big wave of plastic kits with the first movie, an incredible wave of plastic kits, far more plastic kits than we'd ever had at one time. About, depending how you count it, but 11 plastic kits with the Unexpected Journey. Incredible. I mean, that's 11 troop kits. We also had eagles, scenery. It was bonkers. Because it didn't succeed as expected or as hoped, we then didn't get the plastic kits for the following 2 films and haven't had another plastic troops kit since until now with the new War of the Rohirrim movie. Sometimes I think how fantastic plastic kits would have been for the second and third Hobbit films. Imagine if if Lake Town Militia was a plastic kit. Man, I'd have so many of them. And you use them for all kinds of things, for conversions and stuff. The Gundabad Orcs, which are a nightmare kit, would be so much better in plastic. Although I think it'd still be a bad design. The box that we got for Unexpected Journey was a real departure from the 3 movie boxes from Lord of the Rings. It was much more like the Mines of Moria box in that we got Thorin's Company versus a load of Goblin Town guys with the hero and the scenery, and it's a fantastic box. The best launch box up until maybe now. I think this War of the Rohirrim box is fantastic. Although it doesn't come with the biggest characters in the film, as far as I can tell. It doesn't come with hero. It doesn't come with helm. Whereas the Escape from Goblin Town box had everything. Like, that's just a phenomenal box, and absolutely should have captured the imagination of kids and sewn up Christmas and all that kind of thing. The film let it down, I think, but it's a fantastic box. They couldn't have done much better with it. And that plastic Thorin's Company absolutely stands up. I think has to go in S tier because we've had Finecast, Thorin's Company, and the Champions of Erebor and whatever. These still hold up. Some of the poses are fantastic. I won't, Dwalin's fantastic, Balin's fantastic, the Bilbo is good, the Gandalf is good. Yeah, some of them are a bit lesser. It's so good for like a 15 character box. Fantastic. Great value. Still a great kit. That's going in my S tier. And they faced off against the Goblin Town Goblins. It's a good kit. It's not S tier. It's very static poses. There's not much you can do with it to convert them and stuff. So if you've got 24, 48, whatever, they come in 20s? I can't remember. You got 60 of them. This is an army where you might have a lot of them, and they do get repetitive, and they are a bit toothpastey and mushy, and but they're really good. They 100% do the job. They are going in A tier, but at the bottom. I'd be amazed if they're anyone's favorite kit, but they 100% do the job. Hunter Orcs suck. Like, I hate them in the film, and yet the models of them are worse. They have these tiny waists, huge torsos. They look to me like He-Man toys. If anybody is as old as me, He-Man toys, Masters of the Universe. Huge muscly arms, huge torsos, tiny waists, absolutely useless legs. There's no way those little legs are holding onto that warg with all that top half weight. The poses are clunky. The arms sort of seem to be almost disconnected, like separate from the bodies. Don't like the serrated knives. Half of this is design from the movies, but also I think the sculpts are bad. Do not like going in D tier and going low. Bad. Do they need replacing? I don't care. I don't care. But I don't want to run them anyway. It's just not something I care about. Hunter Orcs on foot are better. I still don't like the designs, but they're nice, dynamic poses. They're almost elf-like in their dynamic poses. Not sure that they're quite that dynamic in the film, but they're good and varied and pretty solid. I still don't like them, but they can go up into C tier. Mirkwood Rangers. I was so excited when I saw these. We'd never seen anything like this before, really. So dynamic, and they're really the start of the modern plastic era with all these little bits sticking out the side. This would not have been possible back in 2001 or even in the late 2000s when they were doing the War of the Ring models. They're fantastic sculpts. I think the sculptors must have got access to the actual footage of the film rather than stills when they were sculpting these, because they flow and you can see the way they move, the kind of flourishes they put on. They must have seen the spider scene when they come and rescue the Thorin's Company. Top notch. S tier. Even just down to the detailing on the leather work on their tops and stuff. And I love it when people paint them in like a autumnal scheme. Looks fantastic. Some of the best models. The Mirkwood Palace Guard are really great sculpts. They're really well sculpted, but the poses I don't like nearly as much. The poses are, there's no poses there that I love, and some of them holding the spears are quite awkward in my opinion. The kind of halberd things they have. So I've been putting them into A tier, but relatively low down. I think I've never owned them actually, so I would like to get some and have a go. But it's the sculpting's top notch. The posing is a bit weird. I love the captain model, which is fine cast, fantastic. There are two of them. Maybe there's two of them. I can't remember. Top notch. But the plastics, yeah, like I said, really well sculpted. Not sure about the actual posing. Rivendell Knights, woof. The Rivendell Knights showed us then how much we needed new Rivendell warriors. The helmets with the cutout in the sort of blade on the top, just fantastic, and such a step up from the 2001 sculpts. The cloaks are a bit extra, like they're so billowy and flouncy. It would almost be nice to have had some options for some more mundane cloaks. And I'd be a big advocate of non-running, galloping horses in general. I would love to have some static poses, but I know that's unpopular. I like static poses. I like non-combat poses. I love the Defenders of Rohan set from back in the day with all the kind of poses of people at ease. I love that. But that's all nitpicking. It's a fantastic kit. I can't believe I've never done them. I think it's partly because I'm not keen to do the foot versions. I've just recently painted up the banner bearer that came with Elrond, and he's fantastic. And if we get a whole kit of plastics like that, which would be surely top of everybody's list for plastic kit redos, that would be awesome. I'm putting them in S tier, top notch, perfect kit. Dale seemed to be a lot of people's favourites when we were talking about this. I'm just looking up at my almost finished Dale. I like them a lot. I think they look great. They're very ornate, and some of the detail on the model is not so easy to paint. It could, if I think about how crisp models are now, the detail on these maybe slightly overreaches what they were capable of back when the Hobbit movie came out. So weirdly, like they could benefit from a new kit, but I don't think there's any demand for that. And yeah, a lot of people, this is their absolute favorite. I have painted them, and there's still, I think they're a challenge to paint. I think they're really good, but I think they're a challenge to paint. And for that, I think I'm just going to put them near the top of A tier. They're not S tier for me. I'm sure they are for a lot of people at home, but not quite for me. Warriors of Erebor is a weirdly divisive kit that some people really hate. People hate that it's the mixed armor. I love that. I think they're like a kind of rabble of defenders who have been attacked by a dragon and grabbed whatever weapon they have to hand, and some of them are in almost full Grimhammer gear, and some of them are in their civvies almost. But I like that a lot. I think they paint up really well. I love having spear Erebor warriors to back up Grimhammers. I think they're really good. I'm putting them in A, somewhere around the Moria Goblins. Okay, Fel Wargs. Absolutely slated the Hunter Orcs on Fel Wargs. But the actual Fel Wargs are great. Very happy putting them into A tier. Somewhere around here. And I've got no complaints about them. They look like wargs to me. They're wolfy, but they're a bit extra. They're huge. I've got a couple of boxes of these painted up, which I did for Razgush's Legion, but can use them for other things. I would always use them in place of wild wargs, unless you were mixing both, and then it gets confusing. Love the models. Couldn't be any better. 10 points. And last but not least, we've got the Grimhammers. In that kind of prologue flashback bit of the Hobbit movie, where they have the smile coming. That's my absolute favorite bit of any of the Hobbit films, and the Grimhammer armor is one of my favorite things in that. It's my favorite bit of Weta design throughout those Hobbit movies. I just love it. I think the dwarves are hard to do. Like, I really don't like the Rings of Power dwarves. I don't like a lot of dwarves. Dwarves in general, I think, are really hard to pull off, and Grimhammers just nail it to me. Like, to be like dwarves at the height of their riches, being super armored, they've nailed that 100%. Massive fan. I am putting them first. I painted mine up gold to be like the whatever they're called, Guardians of the King or whatever in Thrall's warband. I love them. So I did them all kind of gold and stuff, and with red fabric, and I love how they look. I loved painting them. I see them in my cupboard behind me, and I'm like, I love those guys. I love those dwarves. Those are the good guys. So that's where they're going. That's where I'm putting them all. I'm not putting the new Rohan plastics in there because I haven't had a chance to check them out properly, and indeed the new Dunland. But I'm really looking forward to them, and I'm pretty sure they'd be S tier on this scale. Or they will, if we get new plastic kits, it's going to adjust our scales down a bit. Just running through this, it's nice to see the most kits are, for me, in my opinion, this is only my opinion, I only have my opinion, are in A. A is the biggest for me, and those are ones which I'm like, they don't need replacing. Those are great. B tier, yep, you could replace them, but they were good. They'd done their job very well. C tier, either they need replacing or there was I never had any love for them really. They're pretty flawed. D tier, junk, absolute failed junk. Sorry, that's how I feel. But do feel free to downvote the video, by the way. Thumbs down. I won't take it personally on this one, just on this one. And comment with what you'd have what you'd have differently and stuff. The S tier for me is basically saying those Hobbit movie sculpts, the most recent plastic troop kits we've had, are the best. And you can see through the plastic hero range that we've had through the last edition of the game that standard is just going up and up. But these are the last troop kits we had, and they're fantastic. And for me, the Swan Knights of Dol Amroth sit with them. They're not quite as dynamic. There isn't the same variety as you have in the Rivendell Knights kit, for instance, but they're exactly what I want from a Swan Knights kit. And then you've got kits that I love very much, but I don't think are quite in that top tier. They all do their job perfectly. I hope you enjoyed that. I don't know if it's controversial or all good. Hopefully you have opinions of your own and you can put them down in the comments and have a laugh. I'm sure you agree it'd be nice to get some new plastics, and it's kind of an exciting time. Please like and subscribe and do all them things. Join the Discord, it's free. Get in the conversation. Much appreciated as always. Big international hugs, and I will see you soon. Bye.